I'm going to tell you who won the war with Iran. You're not going to like it, and that's fine. The truth doesn't need you to like it. It wasn't the US, it wasn't Israel, it wasn't Iran. It was one man, never in the room, never fired a shot. He sat half a world away and waited for the rest of us to get tired. That was the whole point. Wait, that's it. Here's the part that gets under my skin. He isn't even hiding. You just never once connected him to this. There's a tanker sitting in the Strait of Hormuz right now, full idling, waiting to pay a toll. And the money doesn't go where you think. Follow it far enough and it ends up in his hands. His name isn't on any treaty, it isn't in a single headline, but it's on that tanker in a currency that's not ours. You've been looking at him for months. You just didn't know his name belonged to this. And by the end, you will. You won't sleep the same. So stay with me. I'm Charlie Garcia. This is Capital Mischief. 30 years, I advised 6 presidents from both parties. I've been in the room where these things actually get decided. And the only thing I do on this channel is read the fine print nobody else bothers to read, and then tell you what they buried in it. And they buried a lot in this one. So let's go dig it up. 4 months ago, the newspaper sold you the end of the world. World War III, $200 oil, the Straits of Hormuz on fire. And then, quietly, they took it all back. The way a man returns a tuxedo the Monday after the wedding. None of it happened. Oil never got close. The world declined to end, and the war is over. Here's what we actually did. We built the biggest Navy since 2003. 3 carrier groups, bombers over nuclear sites they swore wouldn't be touched. At the peak, 4 out of every 10 American warships on Earth were sitting in one puddle the size of a decent lake. That's how serious we were. For about 6 weeks, the old country looked like it finally remembered where it left the keys. And in one night, we killed the entire senior leadership of Iran. That's the war you saw, and we won it. Now, here's the part they didn't put on the news. The most important shipping lane on the planet. The channel a fifth of the world's oil has to squeeze through. It's now run by the same Revolutionary Guard we just finished bombing as a toll booth. They stopped the ships. They set the price, $1.5 million to $2 million, not dollars a tanker, another currency. And the United States of America is standing at that toll booth in the rain asking about the monthly rate. We had the power to take that choke point. We chose to negotiate the fare, sit with that one, because it doesn't get better from here, believe me. Here's a question nobody in Washington wants to answer out loud. If we want a deal this badly, who signs it? Somebody has to. Somebody with the authority to say yes and make it stick. We bombed that somebody on day one. Think about what leverage even is. Leverage is a thing you point at a decision maker. We pointed 2,000 pounds of it at his house. You don't get a deal by blowing up the one man who can approve one. You get an empty chair. We do have a foreign minister at the table. Nice man, signs whatever you slide across after making issues, controls absolutely nothing. Back in April, he announced the strait was open, and his own Revolutionary Guard reversed him before his coffee got cold. That's not a mixed signal. That's the org chart. So when you hear that Iran won't make a deal, the truth is stranger and a whole lot worse. There is no longer an Iran that can make a deal. There's a Revolutionary Guard. There's a wounded man on a throne who never once has been filmed, no video, no audio, nothing. And there are 31 separate provincial commands, each one built on purpose to keep fighting after the top of the building is totally wiped out. We didn't knock out a government. We knocked out the switchboard. And now we're standing in the rubble holding the phone. And guess what? Furious we are that no one's picking it up. Hello? And this toll booth, pay attention here because this is the part that should keep you up at night. Iran just invented a brand new weapon, and it isn't a missile. For 20 years, the thing that bled us was the roadside bomb. Cheap, deniable, never won a battle in its life. It just bled the giant a little every day. Iran built the version for the sea. Nobody's given it a name, so let me. The toll booth. Closing the strait is suicide. It starts the war that ends the regime. So Iran doesn't close the strait. Iran charges you rent to use it. The ships still pass, so nobody can call it a blockade. It makes money instead of costing money. So it pays for itself. And here's the genius of the thing. How do you bomb a fee schedule? Where's the target? You can't put a cruise missile through a pricing policy. Believe me, okay? The Pentagon looked into it. And every country on earth sitting on a choke point just watch this work. The Houthis, okay, in Yemen could open one on the Red Sea by Friday. I hope they're not listening. The playbook travels. It doesn't even need a passport. Now, here's your first clue. That toll, it isn't paid in dollars. Hold on to that because we're coming back to it. And it's going to matter a lot more than you think. I published the whole breakdown yesterday morning, all 7 parts, chapter by chapter, lives on my Substack, and the link is right there below in the video. That's where the full briefing is. But I'm going to give you the heart of it right here. So stick with me. So let's talk about the money because I'm an oil man. I'm long oil, and I'm guessing some of you are too. So I'm going to do the thing an honest man is supposed to do on camera. I'm going to tell you the scenario that really scares me now, being long oil. Everybody bought $200 oil, all right? It never showed up. It never got out of bed because China quietly cut its imports and drained a stockpile the size of a small ocean to do it. That swallowed the shock, about 3 million barrels a day. So here's the risk I watch every single morning. When that strait fully reopens, the oil everyone was sure is going to spike could crash below where it started this whole war. Now, don't hear me wrong here. I don't think that's the base case. I think the risk keeps oil bid, and I'm staying long. But I refuse to hold the bull case with my eyes shut. And right now, most of the market has them shut. And the path down, if it comes, isn't a straight line. It's a sawtooth. Spikes on every scare, drops in between. You hold the quality names, the ones that still make money at $40, and you let the reflexive crowd get chopped up chasing the headline. Now, that toll I told you to remember, the one that isn't paid in dollars, it's paid in yuan. Say that back to yourself. The single most important choke point in the dollars world now charges admission in China's currency. We spent 40 years teaching Iran to live without the dollar. Iran took the lesson and built a toll booth to prove it. That's not an oil story. That's the dollar story told through a tanker. And that clue is starting to point somewhere, isn't it? Here's one that's going to make people mad. Everybody in Washington relieved the clergy, the mullahs who got shoved aside. The mullahs are out. The Revolutionary Guard is in. And everybody's got it exactly backwards. For 46 years, the religion was the real leash. It told the regime what it could not do. And one end of that leash was tied to God. That leash is cut now. What's left is a security service state wearing the robes, answering to nothing but staying alive. And a thing that only fears dying has exactly one red line, its own extinction. Being glad the mullahs are gone, it's like, being glad that your unstable neighbor finally fired his therapist. They were the break. And we're here throwing a party because the break is gone. Now, the part of this that's genuinely dark, 6 weeks before the first bomb dropped, Iranians were in the street. The biggest protest since the 1979 revolution, burning down banks over the price of bread. That anger was pointed dead at their own government. And then we showed up, dropped the bombs, and we handed that regime the one thing it could never buy at any price, a foreign enemy. You can't get a country to rally around its rulers by hating its own central bank. Nobody's ever marched in the street chanting about monetary policy, but drop a bomb on the Capitol, start killing people, and watch what happens. The regime didn't survive the crisis. It just outsourced the blame for it to the U.S. and Israel. And that right there is why 40 years of pressure keeps making these people stronger, not weaker. Here's the part to write down. The most dangerous moment for that regime isn't the war. The war is the easy part. In the war, they get to be the victim. The dangerous moment is now, the peace, when the bombs stop and the people go back to remembering who actually emptied their wallets. So let's answer the question I opened with. Who won? Not us, all right? We're paying rent. Not Iran. Iran is a wreck that can't even govern itself. Look at who's left standing, all right, when the smoke clears. The one country with the patience, the money, and the oil relationship to own the entire neighborhood. The one that never fired a shot, that was never in the room, that sat in an office half a world away and just waited. His name is Xi Jinping, the president, all right, of China. The man who owns the bar never had to lift a finger. He was in the back office the whole time, waiting out the brawl because the brawl was in one of his buildings. And he holds the deed either way. So remember that toll paid in yuan? That was him reaching in through a shipping lane. Watch the summit this fall. Watch where the concessions go. That's the moment the new owner quietly signs the lease. And that is coming in 3 or 4 months. But here's the part that should scare you more than his name. Xi didn't win because he was strong. Xi won because we showed the entire world that we won't use our strength. This war was never a test of Iran. It was a test of us. And we didn't fail it because we were weak. We had all the power right there. We spent, by some counts, close to $1 trillion and the most powerful military ever built. And at the exact moment it mattered, we blinked on camera in front of everyone. We can, but we won't. And every enemy we have was watching. Beijing was watching over Taiwan. Moscow was watching over everything it still wants. Pyongyang, okay, was watching over the peninsula. And what they learned is the only thing from this entire war that still matters in 10 years. They learned that American power is very real, but American resolve is on a timer, that our red lines come with a calendar clipped to the back, that a superpower with an election coming for the midterms in November can be outweighted. A speech is only an opinion. A demonstration is evidence. And we just ran a live demonstration for every adversary on earth at once that our deterrence is a bluff. You can call it, pay for it in Chinese currency, and walk away without a scratch. So you've been counting clocks all summer. The ceasefire runs out August 21st. The elections in November, another clock. The president, Xi, comes to visit this fall, but the clock that actually started the first night of this war, the one nobody is watching, is the one counting down how long a country stays a superpower after it teaches the whole world that its power is optional. That clock doesn't have an expiration date printed on the front. It just runs quietly. Whether or not anybody bothers to watch it, I'm watching it. You should be too. The full briefing, all 7 parts, is on my Substack. Links below. I'm Charlie Garcia. This is Capital Mischief, and I'll read the fine print so you don't have to.